Okay, great. Good morning. My name is Bill Santiff. I'm a Calvert County Master Gardener, and I'm going to move this mic down just a little bit so I'm not blasting you out of here, but you can still hear me. My talk today is going to be on the herb spiral, how to design it, how to build it, how to plant it, and how to enjoy it. This is part of the University of Maryland's Extension Services, College of Agriculture, and the Calvert County Extension Service. Now, just a little quick history, because I was looking this up the other day, and I thought, how did we get to be called an extension? Well, I figured it out. I went to Wikipedia. There was a congressman by the name of Burrell in the early 1860s. Who went to the president at the time, some guy by the name of Abe Lincoln, and had an idea. The country was growing rapidly. The industrial age, the industrial revolution that had started in Europe with England, was spreading to the United States. Railroads were going everywhere. There was a war looming, otherwise known as the Civil War. And farming practices were actually quite lousy. Land was farmed on with the same crop again and again and again until the land gave out. The farmer packed up, moved to new land, and just abandoned the old one. So Burrell's idea, which really resonated with Abe Lincoln, was to take these huge chunks of millions of acres of government land that have been acquired through the Louisiana Purchase, other deals, the Spanish conquest of the South, U.S. conquest of the Southeast, and start something called land grant colleges. You heard of those before? Yeah. What Burrell's bill, which Lincoln signed, was that each state was given 30,000 acres of federally owned land for each of its 2 senators and each of its representatives in the House of Representatives. So the larger states got more land, the smaller states got at least 90,000 acres. On each of those, they had to build a university in part of it. And then, of course, that didn't take 100,000 acres, but they could then sell the other land to homesteaders, to businesses, whatever, to pay for building the college and paying the salaries of the staff and the faculty. So Maryland, in College Park, University of Maryland, is a land grant university. Most of the state universities is. The other catch was each college that was so endowed had to teach 3 things at a minimum, in addition to whatever else they wanted to. They first had to have a college of agriculture, which would research and teach about best farming techniques, growing techniques. They had to have an engineering school, or mechanical school, sometimes it was called, because the country needed engineers terribly. Railroads were coming on. All sorts, the Industrial Revolution was coming. We needed American engineers to do the design, build them, stuff like that. And the third thing, Lincoln saw the Civil War looming. Each college that was a land grant college had to have a reserve officer training corps program, an ROTC unit. Go ahead, turn this up. So that the United States would get its military officers, Army, Navy, Marine at the time, from across the broad diversity of the American population, and not just a few elite people with political connections to get an appointment to West Point or Annapolis. So that is the 3 things. After the universities got established, there was one other clause. Each university that was a land grant college had to establish an extension office of that university in each and every county in their state. That's why University of Maryland Extension has an office right here in Prince Frederick. And Dr. Herb Reed he's on the faculty of the University of Maryland, but he's here and he's our local extension officer, our educator. So that's what the extension is and how we came about. And now, since the goal of the extension is to teach, they teach a class called Master Gardeners. I took it about 4 years ago, became a Master Gardener. At the end, I'll give you more information because there's another class being registered now that starts in February. And the brochures are in the back showing that. So let me get underway with my presentation now. What I'm talking about, tell you what an herb spiral is, how do you build it, how do you plant it, and how do you care for it. And at the end, I'll be glad to answer any and all of your questions. So basically, an herb spiral is a dedicated place that's permanent to grow herbs. The key is it's close to the kitchen. So if you're cooking something, it's a short trip out there to get the herbs you need to throw in and improve your food. It's built of permanent materials with good thermal mass. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. You fill it with soil, and what it does is it provides a variety of growing conditions in a very small space. When we get into the design part, I'll tell you about that. The new buzzword is permaculture, permanent agriculture. It's a permanent site which will be there for decades and always used to grow something. And they come in many different shapes and sizes. I'm going to move over here to the side so that you can focus on this and I don't block anyone. But, and they can be made of almost anything. This one's made of stones concreted together. This is just loose stones scattered around. This one is bricks. This is made of smaller bricks. This is made of paving stones, which is the way I built mine. I'll get into that shortly. This is more brickwork. And this is just looks like fieldstone, flagstone, popped up. But they're all the same. They all are tall in the middle, and they curve down in a spiral, a turn and a half. So the benefit is that because they have sides facing north, south, east, west, there are different microclimates as you go down the spiral that allow you to plant herbs in the conditions they like the best. The top gets full sun all day, and the soil dries fairly fast. The bottom gets and retains the most moisture. North side, less sunlight. South side, more sunlight. West, hot afternoon sun. East, morning sunshine, but shielded from the hot afternoon sun. The masonry blocks are something we engineers call thermal mass. In each of these blocks, as you'll see, they weigh about 22 pounds apiece that I built with. If it's real hot during the day, well, they're still cool, and they slowly absorb the heat of the sun, and they keep the ground cooler than it otherwise would get in an open garden. If it gets cold at night, the stored heat gets released back into the soil. So it's like a giant thermal flywheel in that the temperature may be going like this, but in the soil it's going like that. Much more beneficial. The other thing is, these are small structures. They're only 6 feet in diameter. And it's a couple reasons. Number one, you can reach in 3 feet from any side and harvest your herbs. You can also keep it nice and compact so your significant other won't mind you putting it in the lawn. So these are the steps, and I'll go through them. But basically, you design it, you order the stones, I'll show you how to build a cardboard template. The most important step is you pick the final location. And you place the stones, and then you do nothing for several days while your family goes around, looks at it, sees if it's really going to be in the right place, it's not, tweak it so everybody's happy. And then you tweak the stonework and fill it with potting soil and plant. So design basics. Max diameter 6 feet. This is my herb spiral, by the way, up here. My height is 2 feet. You don't want it any higher than 3 feet, because what you want 2 to 3 feet, somewhere there, depends on what you're building it out of. Whatever works for you. It's a 1.5 turn spiral. It starts up here at the top, and it comes down here to a full turn, and then another half turn around here. That gives you the variety of microclimates and shades, so you can handle the hot, dry, loving herbs, the wet feet, cool, loving herbs, shady, whatever. The bottom of the spiral right here is on the north side. I'm standing to the north of this. It's sort of three-dimensional world here. And the internal spiral, where you have the potting soil, this channel here that loops all the way around is 8 inches wide minimum. And don't go more than 10 or 12 because you want to be able to still reach into it. Remember that 6-foot diameter circle. And here in the northern hemisphere, you typically have a clockwise descending spiral. Don't know if it really helps, but it's the same way that when you pull the plug on the sink, the water will spiral down. Or some people call it the toilet bowl effect. And in the South America, a lot of the work on these was originally done in Brazil and Chile and Argentina. They do it the other way. They have a counterclockwise spiral because the water there drains another way due to the Coriolis effect of the earth. Okay, I used concrete retaining wall blocks. We're not allowed to endorse companies during Master Gardener presentations, so all I'll say is I bought them at a home supply store in Upper Marlboro. And they were $1.81 a piece. The dimensions are there, and like I said, this is thermal mass. Each one weighs almost 22.5 pounds. I used 110 stones. And this is the cardboard template. Take a whole bunch of cardboard boxes, not the fancy ones with all the color photos of what you just bought on it, but cardboard that doesn't have a glossy sheet, it's just a cardboard box. And you tape them together until they're at least roughly a 7 by 7 foot square. And I held mine together with paper painter's tape. I used the blue painter's tape. Because eventually, that's going to be covered with your herb spiral, and the cardboard will keep the weeds from growing up, otherwise known as your grass, from infiltrating, and it'll dissolve and go in and just amend the soil underneath it at the same time. And then you take it and you move it around your yard. Try it in different locations before you pick up a single heavy block. And move it around, whoops, try it here, try it there, move it around. Because once that pallet of blocks is delivered, you don't want to move them a long distance. But move it till you think it's in about the right locations. Because this is what 2,500 pounds of paving blocks looks like. Did I mention thermal mass? And what you do is before you put down the first stone, you let your family look at it, you take all the advice, and you make sure everybody in the family is happy with where it's going to be. Because this is going to be around for 20 or 30 years. If you put it in a spot everybody agrees to, you'll hear great compliments of how it looks and where it is and all this for 20 or 30 years. If you put it someplace a significant other doesn't want it, you're still going to hear about it for 20 or 30 years. but the words are not going to be as nice. And what you do is you start, whoops. Here's the north side, and I started the first row of blocks, and I actually forgot to take the picture until I had 2 courses of blocks, but the first time, put it in there, put them around, start, these are 3 feet from the center, and then with each block, you begin to move it a little bit closer to the center so it spirals inward. And by the time you get it around, one complete turn, you've got an 8-inch channel. And you measure 8 to 10, and you keep that going until you get all the way up to the top. You spiral it in. And then you keep stacking more blocks. Like right here, and my initial one at it, I went 2.5 blocks, started the next course. 2.5 blocks, started the next course. 5, started the next course. And build it up. And then you do nothing for a few days except go out every day and bring your significant other with you. And take a look and see, is this pleasing? Does it need any tweaking? Is it really, am I going to be able to reach in and get stuff like that? You call on other family members to inspect it. That's my daughter's cat. His name, for some reason, is Badness. I have no idea why. And have them inspected. And then you tweak it. So what I did is, when I tweaked, instead of leaving this open here, I moved this in so it closed on itself. Some people put a little frog pond. They sink a big plastic basin into the ground and let the water that comes down the spiral in rains drain into it. It's a nice thing. Now, we finally got it built. It's all set. There it is. Now it's time to plant it. Well, the first thing you do is you take one of those razor blade knives you sell in the hardware stores and box cutters, and you go around and trim off all the cardboard that's visible around the first course. You get rid of it, throw it in the compost pile, do what you want with it. And that way, you'll notice you've got just a nice space right around here. The cardboard's still there, but it's directly underneath all the blocks. How do you plant it? Well, first of all, when you start off, you've got to pick a good potting soil. The keys are one with a starter fertilizer in it, one that has vermiculite in it or some other water retention material. You can get that at any of the various hardware stores and any brand. Doesn't matter. I used the one that came in a bright blue bag, and my herbs grew like a miracle. But I'm not recommending any particular brand. Now, to cut the cost, before you start it, you go to the center, which is 2-3 feet down there, and instead of spending all that money pouring expensive potting soil into it, throw in some old firewood. It's starting to rot off your wood pile, and just build up about 1 foot at the bottom. Just take some mass. It'll deteriorate and become part of the soil over a couple of years anyway. And then go around and fill it up and fill it to the rim. Wet as you go. The water retention potting soils, you've got to wet them while you use them. Put some in. Take a fine sprinkler attachment on a wand, a hose, and wet it down. Get it nice and wet. Add more. Wet it down. Add more. Wet it down. It does 2 things. It activates the fertilizer that's built into the potting soil, and it keeps it from staying dry forever, because you want the water to go all the way through, because the roots are going to go deep, especially in the center. Smooth the potting soil at the transitions, like where you go from 5 blocks high to 4 blocks high. Take your hand, take this moist potting soil, which will actually stay in place now, and smooth it so it's a gentle slope down. And fill it to the top. Now the fun part, you go to your favorite garden center and buy the herbs you enjoy. And that's what I did. And I bought them at several places. I bought some down south of Prince Frederick, I bought some in Huntingtown, I bought some in Upper Marlboro, I went up to Davidsonville. They'll go around the spring, which I built this in early May. Garden centers are full of herbs and beautiful plants. And here we go. We start with a sunny, dry top. This is where you plant your Mediterranean herbs. Rosemary, ordinary thyme. Oops. Rosemary at the top. It's going to grow big. It's going to grow tall. And when I took my Master Gardener course, part of the Master Gardener training is you take a field trip one Saturday to the National Arboretum up off of Route 50, just inside the DC line. And they have an herb garden. And it was February, it had snowed recently, and there's the rosemary sitting at the top of a spiral, this high. And the rosemary is this tall and flourishing. So, rosemary at the top, ordinary thyme, French thyme, and then the oreganos, Greek and Italian oregano. These are the Mediterranean herbs. They love, they don't like keeping their feet wet, but they love hot, sunny conditions. Continue on down around. The dill. This is on the northwest side. Chives, big potato chives, common chives, and the garlic chives I found in one of the garden centers. I like to cook Mexican sometimes. Cilantro.
And this is all the northwest side?
I'm sorry?
Is all of this the northwest side?
Let's see. Let me go back a couple. Okay, this is the top. So this way is south to the upper right. This way is north. So this is facing south. And then we're down around the northwest side for the chives, the dill, the chives, the cilantro. Now we're around on the east side. And you got tarragon, flat Italian parsley, curly parsley. As we move around to the south, lavender, just because I wanted to make my own herbs de Provence. Sage, basil. This is the Italian basil, and that's just facing due south now with the basil. And then Thai basil. And then I planted nasturtiums. I thought, great, edible flowers, I can put them into salads. They'll add color, they'll be interesting. Those are the reasons I wanted to plant nasturtiums. Here are the reasons you do not want to plant nasturtiums in your herb spiral. This is May. This is when it started. This is July. They will take over. They are an invasive plant that will spread everywhere. I got up on a ladder right after I planted it, and I couldn't quite reach far enough to keep getting it all looking in perspective. But every bit of these channels is 8 inches across. You're just shielded by the height of the bricks right here. But this is looking down into it. So the way I started, I had 1 block above the ground. Then I went to 2. Then I went to 3. Then I went to 4. Then I went to 5. And then I finished off at the top with 6. And that's how I built mine. You can do it any way you want to. It will work. There's nothing magic about what I chose. I just chose the one that looked best to me and to my wife.
What time of the year is this? Is this May?
This is late May, yes. Right after I planted it. You go to the garden centers, you're only buying 2 plants, maybe 3 of each kind. So splurge on the ones that are nice and big and in pots, because you're not buying a flat 12. You're going to plant them here in your spot. If you want to buy more, fine. Put the others in your regular garden, and then you can do a comparison of how the herb spiral does against the regular garden. I'll give you a hint. Herb spiral wins. So this is May 12th, right after I planted it. This is what it looked like in June 20th. And then by October 9th, I'm sure there's some stone blocks in there somewhere. Did I mention you do not want to plant nasturtiums in the herb spiral?
So does this mean you planted things too close or too many? Or
No.
not just right?
They just right. They thrive because you plant a couple plants of each close together, 3 if you want, depending on how many herbs total you want out there. And they just grow up side by side. And shoulder to shoulder as they go down the spiral.
And how long will those last? Will some of them last into the winter?
I'm glad you asked. We're coming to that.
Oh,
Can somebody get me a cup of water, please? Thanks. Or a bottle of water, whatever, and I'll reuse it. You got water there? I apologize. How do you care for it? Well, water. If it's rained in the past few days, leave it alone. It doesn't need a lot of water. If it hasn't rained in a week or so, the long dry spells we get in the summer, yeah, put the multi-head on a wand on the end of your hose, set it to shut the gentle shower. Start at the top and work your way around the spiral, getting it watered good, and then ignore it for another week. Fertilizing. Starter fertilizer in that good potting mix you bought, water retention potting mix, is enough to get the plants off to a great start. Herbs love to suffer. They may not love it, but it makes their flavor more intense and better. So never fertilize it again until you have to replace an herb and put in the water retention fertilized potting soil in the area where you pulled the old herb out and put the new one in. And that's it. That's the only way you fertilize. You don't spray it with liquid fertilizer. You don't sprinkle fertilizer around. You've got a beautiful soil mixed of water retention particles, plant matter, stuff like that. You don't need it. Harvesting. You can start enjoying your herbs after the first month. They grow that fast. And what you do is you go down a stem, cut it off about halfway, take that into your house, you either strip the leaves off or use it entirely, whatever you want to do, and it'll branch out to more. Like basil, cut it just above a bud union where you see the little tiny shoots starting to appear. Cut it just above one of those, and then 2 sprigs will come up. Rosemary is the same way. Now, how do you care for it? You've also got to watch out for herbs starting to bolt. Basil, cilantro, and dill are famous for wanting to bolt the seed. They were designed to propagate themselves by going to seed during the growing season and spread that seed everywhere. So when they start to bolt, cut it just above a lower bud union. Take that top with the little flower stalk in it. Take it into the house, strip the leaves off, use them in your cooking. But also head down to your favorite garden center and get yourself a replacement plant sometime in the next week or 2. And then when it really starts to say, I'm going to propagate, I'm going to go to the seed, pull it out, set it in a pot on your balcony until it goes to seed if you want, but put the new plant that you bought right in there. Basil, cilantro, and dill are the ones that really try to bolt them. Last summer, I think I replaced the basil 3 times for different years, different times across the summer. Cilantro I replaced twice, and the dill I replaced twice. Just accept it. Enjoy the herbs, put fresh ones in. Remember, they'll be ready for harvest in a month. And enjoy your herbs. Did I mention you don't want to plant marigolds? But here's the chives. They started out as just 2 small pots, and have been eating on these for months here. Look at the Mediterranean roots up the top. Here's the parsley, the flat leaf and the curly leaf. We learned to love sage butter, chicken sauteed in brown butter and sage. All sorts of stuff you can do. I love to cook all different cuisines. The Italian really like the basil. In fact, in my raised bed gardens, which are on the other side of the house, I actually planted another dozen basil plants. We use so much of it. But look at the time. Great in pot roasts and stews. So, rule of thumb, use twice as much fresh herb as you would of a dry herb. The reason is when herbs are dry, they shrink to about half their size. So all that flavor is concentrated in a smaller location. The fresh herbs, it's still all out there in the leaves. So it calls for a tablespoon, put in 2. Use them in garden salads. We make a lettuce, tomato, cucumber, green onion salad for dinner, and I go strip oregano leaves and thyme and stuff like that. Sprinkle it on your salad. Sorry. Tie bunches of herbs in a cheesecloth and throw it in your soups or stews. What I do is I actually throw the whole herbs in and I just fish out the stems. Both work. One's a little messier than the other. And make herb butter. Have any of you traveled in Germany? Okay, remember Kräuterbutter? You get a steak in Germany, and there's this big round pat of butter with all kinds of flecks in it that they give you, and you set it on there, and it melts, and all those herbs that are in the butter flavor the steak beautifully. Here's how you make it. You basically, half a cup of butter, a couple cloves of garlic, and 2 teaspoons chopped up parsley, chives, basil. Get the butter soft enough so you can work with it. Stir all the herbs in. Take wax paper, roll it up into a log, stick it in the refrigerator to get hard again. And then whenever you want to put it on a piece of meat or use it for something else, cut off a little slice off the log and you've got it. And you can make your own herb butters with many, many herbs. Pick the ones you like, mix them into butter, add garlic if you want or not. And once again, wrap it into a log and cut slices off of it and impress your family and neighbors. Okay, the question about wintering over. We got to it. Many herbs will die up after a hard freeze. Some will come back the following spring. Some will winter over despite the frost and the freezes. Which one? Here's a hint. Are you going to Scarborough Fair? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And oregano. But it wouldn't rhyme in the song, I guess. When it's forecast to be in the low 20s and below, throw some garden fabric over there, weight it down with some firewood and pray. But here's what happened. That's where the presentation I gave last year. And this year, I have the results. Some lived, some died. Some looked like they died but lived, and some lived but are biennials and you have to replace them anyway. Which ones? These are the ones that lived. Rosemary, thyme, oregano, the sage lived beautifully. Some died and had to be replaced. All the annuals, dill, cilantro, basil, high basil. Rub them out, buy fresh, put some more water retention potting soil in there, and plant them again in the spring. Some looked like they had died but lived. I thought I had lost all my chives. No, they were just waiting for it to warm up And then all of a sudden, poof, there they were again. The parsleys are a unique case. They're a biennial. They put out foliage for a whole year. The next year, as soon as it gets really hot in the early summer, they bolt the seed. So rip them out, put in fresh every year. Excuse me. So this is May 15th of this past year, and 2015, and by May, you've never known that you had a problem with winter. You never knew. And oh, by the way, the rosemary keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. Okay, questions and answers. Yes.
You should lavender in there, this lavender is perennial, does it continue for years and years?
I had mixed results. The lavender I planted, I replaced because it was kind of scraggly and not a lot of vigor to it. Of course, the winter of 2014, 2015, remember we were down below zero several times too. And all that 2,500 pounds of rock still couldn't keep up with Mother Nature going below zero for several days in a row. Yes. Oh, thank you. Great. So that question again was,
Does the lavender
Does the
last several years?
does the lavender last several years? My answer is mine didn't, but I've got it planted again and it's wintering over now. So stay tuned this time next year and I'll tell you how it did, or later in the year. Next question.
How much pruning do you do in the late fall to prepare for the winter?
How much pruning do I do in the late fall to prepare for the winter? None. What I'll do is I'll go and harvest some if I want to dry some herbs. Our oven has a herb dry or a drying mode to it, where you can dry fruits, vegetables, whatever you want to dry, and you dry herbs in it. So if you want to make up some bags to use across the dark midwinter, go right ahead. But I don't prune much at all. The rosemary gets so tall, I harvest the rosemary halfway up to sort of keep it from taking over the whole world. Yes?
Before you put the cardboard down, did you do any preparation of the ground?
No, I just put it right over the grass.
Okay, and did you have any problem with deer?
Okay, first question was, before you put the hardware down, or the cardboard down, do you do any preparation work? And I said, no, I just put it right over the grass. The problem with deer? No, fortunately, my wife, in her infinite wisdom, had me move the herb spiral when I was in the design stage up between the kitchen door and the back deck in the woods. So, but it's a steep slope. So no, the deer didn't come and bother. They were too busy nibbling on the rose bushes on the sunny side of the house. Yes?
Hi, do you know roughly how much by pound that you use to get on?
Okay, the question is how much by the pound that I use in the potting soil? I basically, the big bags of the potting soil you find in the home improvement centers, I used about 10 of them.
Do you recommend potting soil above topsoil?
Do I recommend potting soil above topsoil? Yes, because it's got the water retention particles in it, the vermiculite. It's got organic matter. It's got, you can certainly use regular soil. You sure can. I found I had great results using the commercial potting soil.
Do you put fresh in there every year, or?
No, only when I replant something. Remember, herbs love to suffer, so I don't replenish it every year. If it is sunken down, yeah, I'll take some and bring it back up to the top.
I saw that recently that strawberry seeds and like strawberries and stuff like that.
The question is, can you use a spiral like this for strawberries? Yes. Anything you want to plant that you want in a permanent location, you can use the herb spiral for it. You can make a strawberry spiral.
My other question is, the area I'm putting in slope down a little bit, so it is sloping on one side or the other. Could I just build it up from the ground level?
Sure. The question is, the area she's considering has a gentle slope to it. Can she build up that one area? Sure. Go ahead and in this case, take some regular soil, build up an area within that 6-foot circle so it's fairly level. Put down the cardboard on top of that and start up.
I'm wondering if on the side of it would just be stacking more blocks.
Okay, the question is, can she just stack more blocks? Yes, you can use more blocks to handle the slope so that you have a first course which is more or less level. The only reason you don't want it tilting is, remember, 24.5 pounds per block. You don't want any of them falling off the top layer onto your toe. More questions? Yes?
Do you have to have sunlight all day, or do you have partial sun?
Excellent question. Do you have to have sunlight all day? No. Where I have my herb spiral, there's a line of trees to the northeast of it. And I'm within 5 feet of that tree line. So no, my morning sun is even more dilute, but I get full sun during the noontime hours, and I'm in a position where I even get west sun coming in from over the house too.
And these are about the herbs. Are some of them more medicinal than the others, and are they something that deters mosquitoes?
Okay, I honestly don't know. The question is, are some of these herbs medicinal, and do any of them deter mosquitoes? My answer, Denise will answer with the right answer in a minute. To me, I'll defer to Denise for the medicinal questions. Deterring mosquitoes, what I do is I just feed the birds with multiple feeders year round, winter and summer. And we go out and swim in our pool, and no mosquitoes. Okay, Denise had a...
Yeah, the answer is yes and yes. There are some that are more medicinal. Most herbs have some medicinal qualities. So all herbs are good for some things. And the ones with the most fragrance, like sage and a few of those, are usually anti-mosquito.
Okay, the answer was yes, some herbs are medicinal. Some are more medicinal than others. Sage is a good one. And the library has put out, these are books that are here at the library that are all about herbs. So look through some of these, and the best answer, ask the librarian or the Home and Garden Information Center at the University of Maryland. And I'll show you that in a minute. RT.
According to Mother Earth News, catnip has 25 times the mosquito repellent power of heat. I grow a pot of catnip on my back door, and also a pot of lemon balm that smells nice and has citronelle in it. Grab a handful of each every time I go out, rubbing together and rubbing all over me. No mosquito bites. That's all.
Okay, Mr. Gardner, RT was said.
But you gotta watch it because both of those are invasive.
Yeah, he said catnip and lemon balm are both naturally repellent to mosquitoes, but the danger is they're both invasive, so they'll spread like anything. Remember the nasturtiums?
I didn't see him the second time around.
There's a reason.
I learned something.
Yes, I learned. Okay, more questions? Yes.
Are there any building materials you're not supposed to use, like things have in lime or?
The question is, are there any building materials you're not supposed to use? No, concrete, brick, any masonry will be fine. I probably wouldn't build it out of logs, but that's only because they're going to rot. And then you just have a mound in the middle of your yard after a decade or so. You have this one, yeah.
Did you showed that your spot was covered for the winter? Did you get it covered this year before the snow?
Okay.
Chance that they'll survive, because I didn't get mine.
Okay, the question is, my slide from the winter before last shows me covering it before the snow. Did I get to do it this year? No, I didn't. It was buried, and everything looks like it's doing just fine. Snow isn't as bad because it's an insulating blanket. It's the snowless days or nights when it gets down below zero that are the real killers. RT?
After your lecture, that I attended the same lecture last year, we ran right out to the American Chestnut Land Trust and built one of these things. Just had to have it. So it's available if anybody wants to drive by and look at it. It's off Deers Beach Road, down Double Oak Road to the ACLT. And the herb spiral is located at the northwest corner of the garden, which is right 30 feet south of the barn down there. And you don't even have to get out of the car. You can drive right around the barn and look at the thing.
For those that are listening to the streaming, Master Gardener RT West points out that after my presentation last year, he and the team went down to the American Chestnut Land Trust property off of Deers Beach Road. And they built an herb spiral there in the land trust gardens. And that, since that's open to the public, you can go and take a look at it.
The other thing is we bought the summer herbs at the Maggio Farms, and that is in Chantilly, it's herbs, and he also has vegetables available 5 months out of the year. I think they open up in March. He has some rosemary that's cold tolerant down to -5 degrees. If you get there early. Best selection of herbs I've seen. They're grown on the property there, they're not imported from some other cold zone or anything.
Yeah.
So the Maggio herbs, Chantilly.
Yeah, our team was reporting that he went so far as to go out to Chantilly, Virginia, to a herb farm which grows all their own there on the property. There are many places to buy herbs around. There's up near Chesapeake Beach, up on the hill, there is a farm which specializes in raising herbs and growing it. So without putting a plug in for anybody, there's plenty of spots to buy herbs. It's fun to go around and look and see who's got what. So that's a lot of fun. Yes?
I have a question for RT. You said the catnip and the lemongrass is good for?
The lemongrass is what they make the citronelle out of.
Okay.
That would work, but it's kind of hard to measure up. Lemon balm.
Lemon balm, okay.
Yeah.
If you
The
just,
local is.
yeah, if you put those in a planter type and cup it on your deck, would that keep the mosquitoes away as opposed to rubbing?
No, you gotta squeeze it to get the oil out of it. Now, I don't know how good it would be just growing out to it. I've never sat there and watched it, but,
Okay.
you put it on, you can go out there and it works.
Well, you know, if you put it on your, patio or your deck and had it just growing there and it's
I
good.
don't know how that works.
Well, that was a discussion between RT and one of the guests here as to the lemon balm versus lemongrass. And RT pointed out, for those that are in another location, that it isn't lemongrass, it's lemon balm that has the citronella effect. Okay, other questions? Yes?
Well, I just want to point out that the World Health Organization is concerned about the new Zika virus that's spreading so rapidly, says that herbal repellents are not effective against that.
Okay.
And we don't have it here in Maryland yet, but it's coming, so.
Okay. Excellent comment from the audience that the World Health Organization is concerned about the Zika virus from mosquitoes, and basically the herbal repellents aren't very effective against it. Did I paraphrase that correctly? So fortunately, it hasn't come come to Maryland and the Mid-Atlantic yet. Other questions about the herb spiral? Okay, well, thank you very much. I've got one other thing to mention. The Maryland Master Gardeners are having a Master Gardener class. And it starts February 23rd and it runs through March 31st. There are brochures and handouts on the back table with the information on it. Classes are held in the Community Resources Building right down here across from the Prince Frederick Post Office. They run every Tuesday and Thursday from 6:15 to 8:45. And you have to apply and register for it. And the information on registration. The course costs $175, but $90 of that is for this book that's bigger than a Manhattan phone directory of all the information you ever want to know about growing things, protecting things, handling pests, whatever. It's the Maryland Master Gardener Handbook. It literally weighs about 6 pounds, but it's a great reference, and that's included in the tuition. My wife gave it to me as a Christmas gift, the tuition for the class one year, and I took it, and it was one of the best things ever. So if you really like to learn what you don't know about gardening, learn what you should know about gardening, learn all the things you need to know about gardening, and have a good time with a bunch of good people, take the class. After you graduate from the class in about 6-7 weeks, you're an Master Gardener intern. And in that first year, you have to give back to the community, volunteer time of about 40 hours. And after that, once you've become a full Master Gardener after passing your internship, then you need to give 20 hours a year back to the community as a minimum. Like what I'm doing here this morning gives me an hour of volunteer time to go against my quota. In addition, they're up at the University of Maryland College Park every late May, early June. They have the annual Master Gardener Training Day at the campus, where I think last year 900 Master Gardeners from all over Maryland converged into the STAM auditorium there, and wonderful lectures, workshops, all that, and that counted for 8 hours of training in that. It was an all-day affair, and they brought in wonderful lecturers on a wide variety of subjects. So there were 2 or 3 group sessions, and then 2 or 3 individual sprint-off groups scattered around the building. So you could, if you're interested in this but not that, you can go to that. So to become a Master Gardener is a lot of fun. Oh yes, seed swap. Seed swap was supposed to have been a couple weeks ago, but it got snowy a week ago. It's now been rescheduled to Saturday, February 6th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Community Resources Building at 30 Duke Street, right across from the Prince Frederick Post Office. And Master Gardeners will be there. People come in, they've got leftover seeds from last year you haven't planted, bring them in and donate them to the seed swap and swap them for seeds that you want. Heirloom seeds, everybody has heirloom seeds from heirloom tomatoes or other heirloom plants. They're always in great demand and very welcome. Any leftover seeds you have, either seeds you harvested from your own plants or commercial seeds that you just didn't use last year. Here's a chance to, number 1, get them out of your garage, and number 2, give them to somebody who might like them. Anything else?
You don't have any seeds, you're still welcome.
If you don't have any seeds, you're still welcome because you can get seeds, and then next year you can bring yours.
I'm gonna we do a potluck once a quarter. Our next potluck is actually February 22nd, and it's like you bring locally
If you grow yourself a can, you grow some of it. Farm stands, prepare it, and have a great meal together. And then we also have different events. Sometimes it's like discussing a film or a book related to eating locally. It's a great opportunity to share resources with other people and where you get your seating or I'm having a terrible time like this. I'm having a terrible time with fear. Anybody have any good ideas? That sort of thing. So I would encourage you all to consider joining. You can join on Facebook. You can just see us on the library. So you remember we have to be a member, so you can come to our potlucks or part of regulation. But there's no fees when you want to join and sign up. So we encourage you to join us. It's a great thing.
Great. And another plug is the Calvert County Master Gardeners have a Facebook page, and just go to the search for and go Calvert County Master Gardeners, and it'll give you a link right to it. It's open to look at, and Master Gardeners post to it. So that's it. It's a Facebook page. In addition, I mentioned the University of Maryland Extension Service, and if you need assistance, Master Gardeners are going to be at our plant sale, which occurs the first Saturday in May, and it's at the Community Resources Building. We actually set up in the parking lot and sell plants raised by Master Gardeners, donated. It's a great way to get some plants without being garden center prices. And also, the Home and Garden Information Center of the University of Maryland. Here is their web address. It's also in the fine print on your handout. extension.umd.edu/learn/ask-gardening. You can give them a question. The researchers of the Maryland College of Agriculture will research that for you and send you the information you're looking for. Remember Abe Lincoln and the land grant colleges? It's one of the requirements of the Land Grant Act. Yeah. Yes.
Where is the plant center?
At the Community Resources Building at 30 Duke Street in Prince Frederick. It is just south of the 231 exits. It's the next left, it's Duke Street, which runs into the center of town. And it's a white aluminum siding clapboard building that is exactly across from the Prince Frederick Post Office.
Used to be the old library.
It used to be the old library back in the days.
It says it's one Saturday morning.
What? Yes, one Saturday morning in May.
So how do you
May
know
7th.
the first Saturday?
Yes. May 7th.
May 7th?
May 7th, the first Saturday in May. It's usually always the first Saturday in May. I gotta take that slide. And it's well worthwhile. There's all sorts of things to go. You'll even see another Master Gardener technique called the salad box, which is a little box yay by yay that's made out of wood. It's got a screen and a dirt screen on the bottom, and you plant early lettuce plants in there and things like that, and plant it inside your house, take it out when the weather's warm, set it on your deck, and harvest a salad for your dinner for week after week, while the main gardens out in the cold soil are just getting going. So they're gonna have and they sell salad boxes there. It's the moneymaker for the Master Gardener program to help pay for our things we do like this.
This presentation will be available on the Calvert Library YouTube channel.
Great, I'm looking forward to watching myself. Calvert County Library YouTube channel. You can see this all again. Well, thank you so much.